Yo,
What up?
how's it going, man?
Good. Um, is it John? Is that Boosie?
Yeah, no, it's Vice. Thanks for asking.
Um,
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to tell you how to pronounce my name.
so I decided I don't. I keep having these conversations about FedEx all day long, and then I'm always like, oh, I need to make a banging video about that, but then I forget to do it. So I've decided I'm gonna live my life on Instagram Live from now on, so that I don't lose anything. So for anybody who's here, oh, Monica's here. What's up, girl? Um, for anybody who's here, John is a very good friend of mine. He is my oldest son's godfather, and he also invested with us in a FedEx Linehaul business. Geez, what, many years ago?
It's been maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep. So we had an idea where we had our FedEx business. It was going very successful. What up, Josh? And we decided to branch out. We wanted to grow in other places, but we wanted help because my partner and I, Darius, like we needed help. And so we were going to partner with other people. And in this case, it was people we knew, and they were going to help us run the business and invest some capital and to grow elsewhere. And here's why this came up tonight. So you know, I was sitting here. So I have a client, Linehaul Solutions, who just got 3 growth opportunities in Atlanta for unassigned PM runs. And I'm sitting here writing, like coming up with a P&L for them. And I remembered, oh shit, we had 3 unassigned PM runs in Atlanta a while back.
Are these our runs?
There probably are runs, actually. Um, so I thought it'd be valuable, and I may be wrong, and this may never exist again. Talk to me about those runs. They were good. They were terrible. Darius and I almost got in a fist fight over them. What do you remember about running that operation in what 30 303 Ellenwood?
303. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ellenwood. So we had these three unassigned PM runs in Ellenwood. They were slots. I think they were slot like 8, 9, and 10. And if you're familiar with how FedEx does the board, you're pretty familiar with how FedEx does the board, but every station does them different. It's like a rolling list in the rotation on the board. So if we're slots 8, 9, and 10, um, in day zero, if they have 10 runs that day, then we're running the last three slots because we're 8, 9, and 10. But say the next day they start up again. We were the last people the night before. So the next day, um, we
This is
may,
amazing that you remember this. I'm so
yeah,
proud.
it's some really fond memories and some like stressful times to go all with it. So the next day, we might not have any runs. If we do, we're going to be at the end of the board again. It just all depends on how much freight they have that day.
But so recruiting, recruiting in Atlanta for solo guys. I remember that being. What are you drinking?
Don't worry about it.
Um, Recruiting in Atlanta. I remember it being not bad. Like we'd put up an ad and we'd have a ton of people processing.
We'd have 40 applicants in a day.
Okay.
Of those, we know once I get to everybody, because I want to talk to everybody, you want to filter through. You don't just want the first three guys that accept, you want three plus one. And then we're also making sure that we're picking all the right guys. So I'm calling everybody. But I think probably
We had good dudes down there. Like,
40% would pass through, which
uh,
I feel like is a great rate. Yeah, and we had some of the same dudes for 9, 10, 12, 15 months, some of them.
okay. And you had so, and I think that's mentally. I'm reminding myself like every hub, every terminal runs a different way, right? And
Hmm.
in Atlanta, that was a hub, a huge hub, and the runs, so like Jacksonville, right? I remember you got to Jacksonville. Oh my God, the 600 miles in a night, like fantastic. But you'd run like a Monday Jacksonville 600 miles, and you might not run the next night, right?
You
Like
might
that
not
was,
run. Yeah, that was the common thing. Depending on what nights they're heavy in freight, yeah, we might have a 600 on a Monday for Jacksonville. Thank God it's 600 because it's a ton of miles.
mm.
I don't think there's very many other runs in the network that run 609 miles. Um,
And
right?
now you might not like with hours of service. Like you, I wonder if they still. I don't know if they still run that, but like
I
that
don't
would be
either.
tough to pull off.
Yeah, but to
So
answer your
okay,
question, we might not run that next night
mm,
because just the way our guys are grouped together.
bingo. So, and I think that's what I'm thinking through here is we would have been, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we would have been more successful. We could have been more successful if we could have separated our runs. We were right on top of each other, say 8, 9, and 10. Where
Mhm.
if we would have had like, a run further down and separated them, you could have almost ran one driver every single night as opposed to running two drivers night one, missing night two, back at it night three. To we were running 3 or 4 nights as opposed to five. And it was always, wasn't it like the times? The times were the part where they could, geez, I'm all over the place. It's late. Sorry, bedtime. But the start times were widely varied, where they could call you at like 5 or 6 p.m., or if you were at the end of the list, and so sleeping was always the issue.
Sleep was an issue. Our guys were able to manage it because we had some professional drivers, but some of the young pups that came in that thought they were going to be making 150 grand and sleeping in some $200,000 truck to start off with, they got a little bit of a surprise, but all the professional drivers could handle it.
Mm.
But yeah, so it's rough to go and get dispatched at 1 a.m. for a 600 mile to Jacksonville, get caught in traffic, and then maybe you are expected, depending on how freight is, again, expected to get back to work at midnight the next night. Like that's a long day. So if, back then, I don't even know if that was an option to try to negotiate with other contractors. I'm sure it would have benefited them as well to split the guys up and have their runs more spaced out on the board.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess to end it, right? We ended up selling like almost out of frustration. Like if we're honest, it was just,
Mhm.
we didn't see the upgrade coming anytime soon. And then it was just kind of like, let's sell, let's make our money back. And then we paired that up with another business and just had a nice little sale.
Yeah,
But
it was, it's like the investment timeline. It was a fine amount of time to be in there. It let us get out and focus on some other stuff, and that was good.
you did well. We all did well
Yeah,
financially.
yeah. We and Even though it looks like I'm stuck in someone's dungeon, this is the under layer of my 9-story house that I paid cash for.
I don't feel like that's not true at all.
No, but yeah, I wish I would have held on to that money and like put it in a safe or something until now. Um, I'll have to make it work in some other way. But it's time to get out, then it's time to get in, time to get out, time to get in. I think for me right now, especially that little carrot that you're dangling with the runs you're looking at lately, probably time to get back in.
In time. Maybe not three back to back. Matt. Um,
Unassigned PMs.
yeah. And that's so like I said, Linehouse Solutions, the goal is simplicity. The fucking nonsense, right? Ease of ownership. And can somebody like we need to fish it out more. I don't know. I've been in the Atlanta market now in geez, a couple years. So I don't know how they run. Um, but obviously like buying three or getting three unassigned PM runs, like it's free. And I think that's the point. It's free, right? Like, so if you're
It's
getting
free.
growth opportunities, CGOs as a new contractor, free is great. I like free. Um, but free could come with some challenges. So, okay. And so that was the biggest issue in Atlanta. I remember it all now. I remember the drivers. Yeah. That day cab Freightliner we got in Atlanta. I still have that truck.
Yeah, yeah. That was pretty. The new fresh headlights.
I'll tell you, remember the dude? He was one of the last hires we had. Dustin, young kid.
Um, I can't remember his last name, but yeah,
Don't say it
Dustin.
on here. Anyway, um, Dustin now has been very successful in Atlanta, and I want to do one of these with him because he is like every driver's. I think for anybody who wants to grow, he's a driver manager now. He's got a bunch of runs. He like
Wow.
talks through this stuff with me. Um, it's funny, like we brought him on, and then unfortunately he got caught in the fallout of us selling the runs. And he ended up with a great contractor, and he's done phenomenal. I think by appearance. So I want to do one of the ones with him because all drivers I think want to follow that path, and he did it.
Mhm.
And it's small world, of course. He's someone we brought in from the outside.
Yeah, he was a good pick. And
Um,
if we knew now, like going into Atlanta a second time, I think we'd approach the runs, three unassigned PM runs. I think we'd approach them differently. Not that we were unsuccessful by any means. Like we came out of it with bags, but at the same time, like you were saying, free is free, and
mhm,
maximize it wherever you can.
for sure. If we could have traded spots on the list, I think that would have been the best way. And maybe that's something that like the hubs need to know, spread it out, especially if you know you're not going to run consistently throughout the year. Yeah, leave me alone. Cool. That's all.
Thanks for inviting me.
What do you get?